Greetings! Welcome to Cultivating World Recap, your ultimate destination for all things web novels, manga, and anime. Join us as we explore epic stories, unforgettable characters, and thrilling plot twists from your favorite series. If you're ready to dive into amazing narratives and discover hidden gems, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Let's embark on this adventure together. Now, let's begin our story. Chapter 70. Unwilling to throw in the towel without a fight. Yang Mingwei stood below the stage for a long time, not moving. Not even the commotion amongst the crowd could attract his attention as he stared blankly at the immovable bright king golden ring on his body. The golden ring that he was extremely confident in was so useless before Huang Xiaolong. Until this moment he still couldn't accept this fact. Yang Mingwei's expression was like the dark, cloudy sky. This round, Huang Xiaolong wins. Yang Mingwei regained his senses when the presiding teacher announced the result. With a complicated face, he looked at Huang Xiaolong and said, "I admit I lost this time. Next year's competition, however, I definitely will defeat you." "Next year?" Huang Xiaolong repeated the words nonchalantly and shook his head. Based on his cultivation speed, by the end of next year, he probably would have broken through to the 7th order. And at that point, he would be advancing to the 2nd-year class. So, when next year's competition is held, if Yang Mingwei remained in the 1st-year class, he would have no opportunity to battle against Huang Xiaolong. Seeing Huang Xiaolong shake his head, Yang Mingwei misunderstood his meaning, thinking that Huang Xiaolong felt too much disdain to battle him again. "Huang Xiaolong, what do you mean?" Yang Mingwei was angered. Huang Xiaolong turned around and walked down from the stage. "We'll talk if you manage to enter the 2nd-year class next year." Yang Mingwei was stunned by the reply as he stared at Huang Xiaolong's back. "Advance to the 2nd-year class next year?" Huang Xiaolong's words meant. Both of Yang Mingwei's eyes widened in shock when he realized the meaning behind them. On the guest platform, King Luji was watching Huang Xiaolong and laughing lightly. He said to Marshal Hayashin, "Didn't expect Huang Xiaolong to reach this level of strength. Truly out of my expectations." "Yes, this one feels the same." Marshal Hayashin smiled and agreed amiably. He knew Sovereign had broken through to the 6th order, but the strength Huang Xiaolong had displayed earlier still surprised him. Initially, he had thought even if Sovereign manages to win, it would be after a difficult and intensive battle, but in reality, it was the opposite. Honestly, the ease which Huang Xiaolong defeated Yang Mingwei also startled Fei Hu a little. Not long after Huang Xiaolong defeated Yang Mingwei, the battle results from the other 7 stages with the 1st-year battles also came in. Since the next round had 7 students, an odd number, one of the students was exempted and directly eligible for the next round's competition. This spot, however, wasn't determined by drawing sticks but was decided by the vice principal Xin Chu, and the one Xin Chu picked was Lu Kai. Lu Kai was widely recognized by the students and teachers as the Academy first year's #1 person, so there was no objection from the crowd about Xin Chu's decision. And like that, Lu Kai proceeded to the next round's competition smoothly. For next round opponent, Huang Xiaolong drew a #6 stick. Number 6 was first-year class 6's Hudong, and his strength was weaker compared to the previous Yang Mingwei, a peak mid-6th order. Thus, there was no suspense to the battle, and the same scene repeated itself. Huang Xiaolong defeated Hudong effortlessly. Standing below the stage, Lu Kai quietly watched Huang Xiaolong's and Hudong's battle, his face not showing any of his thoughts. The truth was he was calm on the surface, but in his heart, waves of shock hit him, just like everyone else present. At first, his thoughts were similar to his father's. Huang Xiaolong wouldn't have the opportunity to battle against him, and would very likely be eliminated halfway through the process. In reality, not even Yang Mingwei is Huang Xiaolong's opponent. Deep in his heart, Lu Kai felt tangled. Between the many princes in the Luotong kingdom, without a doubt, he possessed the highest talent of all of them. Thus, he was most loved by his father. Despite that, the talent that he was so proud of crumbled to nothing when compared to Huang Xiaolong's. On the other hand, Zhang Yuan, who was standing behind Lu Kai, his facial expressions became twisted watching Huang Xiaolong defeat Yang Mingwei and Hudong like it was nothing. A short while later, the 2nd round of the first year's competition had ended. Huang Xiaolong and 2 other students successfully entered into the 3rd competition. Don't know whether it was done intentionally or not, but the stick Huang Xiaolong drew was number 3, a class 3 student called Chen Kang. Once again, Huang Xiaolong did not meet with Lu Kai. However, Chen Kang's strength was recognized by the collective first years, and he was the number 2 student after Lu Kai, a peak late 6th order. Like Yang Mingwei, Chen Kang also possessed a top grade 10 beast-type martial spirit, the long-arm water ape. Although Chen Kang was much stronger than Yang Mingwei, he ended up losing to Huang Xiaolong like the previous opponents, without releasing his martial spirit even once. Seeing Chen Kang lose to Huang Xiaolong, the people around the stage were stupefied. In the end, it came down to the final round between Lu Kai and Huang Xiaolong battling for the first place spot amongst the first year. No one imagined that it would come to this. It would be Wang Xiaolong who would be competition for Lu Kai to grab the title. Prior to this day, the new and older students had talked about this, and everyone agreed at that time that it would be Qin King up on that stage against Lu Kai. But now it was the new student, Wang Xiaolong, standing there instead. Two people stood on the stage, sizing each other up. Both were quiet and neither spoke. Below the stage, silhouettes tensed up as silence filled the place. Lai Lu fixed her stare on Wang Xiaolong and Lu Kai on the stage, and her small hands clenched nervously, a layer of thin sweat on her palm. "You surprised me." At long last, Lu Kai spoke and cut through the thick silence. "But you should realize, you cannot win over me. Just give up and throw in the towel." Hearing Lu Kai's words, Wang Xiaolong calmly retorted, "Just now, Yang Mingwei said the same thing to me." In the end, Yang Mingwei lost miserably. Lu Kai heard the hidden meaning of Wang Xiaolong's words and did not get angry. Instead, he smiled faintly, saying, "However, I'm not Yang Mingwei." And his battle cry broke out in full force, not holding back. An energy stronger than both Yang Mingwei's and Chen King's swept out from Lu Kai's body. Seventh Order? Prince Lu Kai really did break through to the Seventh Order. Based on Prince Lu Kai's strength, the first-year competition's first place is already in his hands. How can Wang Xiaolong win against Prince Lu Kai in this situation? If it was me seeing Prince Lu Kai's Seventh Order strength, I would have already raised my hands in surrender. This Wang Xiaolong actually dares to stand on the stage too overconfident. Stubborn persistence to save face. Below the stage, a flurry of discussions was taking place. Of course, those jealous of Wang Xiaolong couldn't resist ridiculing Wang Xiaolong, their voices full of sarcasm. Wang Xiaolong's expression remained the same as those ugly words entered his ears, looking at Lu Kai on the opposite side. Seventh Order? This was within Wang Xiaolong's expectations, so Lu Kai revealing his Seventh Order strength came as no surprise. "How is it? Do you still want to fight?" Lu Kai looked at Wang Xiaolong. "Make your move." Wang Xiaolong's calm voice sounded unhurried. Lu Kai didn't expect to get such an answer and was taken aback. Knowing that he was a Seventh Order, Wang Xiaolong still dared to fight him. He knew Wang Xiaolong was indeed strong, but he and everyone present can see that he's just a peak late. Sixth Order. The Seventh Order was a dividing line. No matter how strong a Sixth Order warrior is, it's impossible for them to win against a Seventh Order. This was a well-established fact. Could this Wang Xiaolong want to use his Sixth Order strength to smash this fact? Lu Kai stared at Wang Xiaolong and nodded his head seconds later. "Since you're unwilling to give up, then I will personally make you." After he said that, Lu Kai released the martial spirit from his body. Chapter 71. Call out your martial spirit. A dazzling light burst out from Lu Kai's body as a gigantic shadow emerged above him. A huge beast that looked like a part eagle, a part phoenix, and a part dragon at the same time materialized before everyone's eyes. A strong, oppressive aura swept out like a hurricane from where Lu Kai was located in the corner of the stage. Sky Peng. Prince Lu Kai's martial spirit is actually the Sky Peng. Our Luotong Kingdom's first king had a martial spirit that was also a Sky Peng. The surrounding crowd clamored aloud, greatly shocked when they saw what Lu Kai's martial spirit was, including Wang Xiaolong. Sky Peng was one of the strongest martial spirits amongst the top grade 10 martial spirits known. Legend has it, the Sky Peng was from the far-off bloodline of the ancient Sky Dragon. Not only that, Wang Xiaolong noticed Lu Kai's Sky Peng martial spirit differed from the normal Sky Peng's features. In legends, the Sky Peng was stated to have 2 wings, whereas Lu Kai's Sky Peng martial spirit had 4 wings. And when the 4 wings spread out, countless dots of golden lights glowed underneath them. Sky Peng martial spirit doesn't usually look like this. A variation. This thought flashed across Wang Xiaolong's mind. It seems Lu Kai's martial spirit was a variation Sky Peng. The Sky Peng was already a top grade 10 martial spirits, and now with its variation properties, it can be classified as a grade 11 superb martial spirit. This was unexpected to Wang Xiaolong that Lu Kai's martial spirit was a variation of the Sky Peng martial spirit. After calling out his martial spirit, the atmosphere around Lu Kai changed instantly. Sounds of whistling wind could be heard coming from the air around Lu Kai. That's right, the sound when air moved at rapid speed and the crowd saw azure-colored winds moving around his body. Nature's wind was something colorless and invisible to the naked eye, but now it can be seen, highlighted in azure. Azure-colored wind. Wang Xiaolong's expression tightened a little, turning solemn. He knew Lu Kai's attack would come at him like an angry thunderstorm. Wang Xiaolong, if you can take this attack from me, then you have the qualification to compete with me for the first place. If you can't handle even this much, then you are not qualified to fight me for it. At this time, Lu Kai's indifferent voice rang out on the stage. Then his silhouette flashed and disappeared from the spot. So fast. This was the first thing that crossed Wang Xiaolong and the crowd's mind. Too fast. Lu Kai's speed had reached a certain threshold, leaving only a residue of an azure shadow when he disappeared from the stage. Everything seemed to fall within expectations until Lu Kai's punch that was about to hit Huang Xiaolong hit onto an afterimage of him. Instead, his body had blurred away, leaving several afterimages on the stage. And Lu Kai's fist passed through this afterimage that he took as Huang Xiaolong. As his confident punch hit onto an empty space, Lu Kai couldn't help but feel surprised. He himself was a 7th Order warrior. Moreover, he had summoned his martial spirit. Although he did not soul transform, his speed was faster than any average 7th Order warrior's speed. But Huang Xiaolong actually escaped from his attack. Prince Lu Kai's attack actually missed. What skill did Huang Xiaolong use just now? Could it be his martial spirit's ability? Even the experts on the honored guest platform, King Lu Ji, Marshal Hayashin, Principal Sun Jiang, and Vice Principal Chen Chu were shocked at what transpired on stage. The speed at which Huang Xiaolong dodged Lu Kai's attack was no slower than Lu Kai's speed. Yes, just now, Huang Xiaolong used his martial spirit's ability, Phantom Shadow. When Huang Xiaolong advanced to the 4th Order, his martial spirits had undergone their first evolution. The Phantom Shadow ability allowed his speed to increase by a third of his fastest speed, and with his current strength of peak mid, 6th Order, this ability had gone up a notch to 2/3 more. Not to mention that Huang Xiaolong's strength was stronger than the average peak late 6th Order warrior. Without a doubt, his speed was also faster than the average same level warriors. Thus, with a 2/3 increase in speed, his speed could very well match Lu Kai. Seeing this, his own attack missed. Lu Kai recovered quickly after a short moment of shock and did not rush to attack the second time. Not bad, you're a little bit stronger than I imagined. Since you could avoid my first attack, means you have the right to compete for the first place with me. Up till here he paused, but merely a qualification. So be prepared to receive my coming attacks. Let's see how many times you can hide. Lu Kai's silhouette flickered and disappeared, and an azure light flashed past in the air, appearing in front of Huang Xiaolong many times faster than before. A fist punched out, piercing through space, producing an azure-colored wind blade. Huang Xiaolong's eyes squinted as he watched the piercing fist get closer. And this time, he had no time to dodge, thus the only way was to receive the attack. Battle Kai inside his body roared. A Luohan fist flew out to meet with Lu Kai's fist as the Netherworld Battle Kai rushed out like a flood. Bang! Huang Xiaolong's fist collided with Lu Kai's and both were thrown backward from the force of the impact at the same time. Lu Kai retreated 3 steps back, and Huang Xiaolong, a total of 5 steps. Huh? When Lu Kai saw Huang Xiaolong actually take his attack head-on, yet was uninjured, he was surprised. The surrounding people who were watching the battle in all 4 directions were also astounded. A 7th Order warrior's Battle Kai was a fold higher than a peak late 6th Order, yet this Huang Xiaolong could actually resist a frontal attack from Lu Kai. Although Huang Xiaolong retreated an extra 2 steps back compared to Lu Kai, showing that he was slightly weaker, nevertheless, this was enough to shock the crowd. Off the stage, the first-year student that was defeated by Huang Xiaolong earlier, Chen Kang, was feeling disgruntled over the loss to Huang Xiaolong. Now, seeing that Huang Xiaolong actually could take a direct attack from Lu Kai, his dissatisfaction vanished. He knew if it was him on the stage, he wouldn't be able to take that punch. This Huang Xiaolong's physique is unexpectedly strong, and his battle K grade is so high. On the main platform, King Lu Ji commented. Every person sitting on the main platform was an expert. Their eyesight could determine Huang Xiaolong's physical body was much stronger than the average peak late 6th Order warrior. Furthermore, his battle K grade was quite high. If not, Huang Xiaolong wouldn't be able to receive the strong punch from Lu Kai and remain unhurt. Judging from the situation, to win over Huang Xiaolong, Kai can only soul transform. King Lu Ji subsequently added, "What your majesty says is correct." At this time, a duke that was seated below the main platform quickly agreed. The duke stood up, smiling as he continued, "After the prince soul transforms, it doesn't matter how strong that Huang Xiaolong is, it's impossible for him to win against the prince." The other dukes immediately showed their support by agreeing. Marshal Hayashin listened, but didn't speak. His eyes were focused on the 2 figures on the battle stage. At this time, up on the stage, Lu Kai had turned into a ray of constant flickering azure light, appearing in random places on the stage. His flurry of attacks raged like an angry thunderstorm over Huang Xiaolong, but what made everyone watching stupefied was, no matter intense and violent Lu Kai attacked, Huang Xiaolong could successfully take on or dodge each time. Huang Xiaolong looked like he had no power to fight back, but that calm and easygoing attitude made hearts go round with suspicion. After madly attacking over 10 times, Lu Kai suddenly stopped. He frowned. By this time, he realized that if he kept attacking this way, it would be almost impossible to defeat Huang Xiaolong in half an hour's time. "Huang Xiaolong, call out your martial spirit," Lu Kai said, observing Huang Xiaolong. "In the next attack, I'm going to soul transform. You won't be able to deflect or receive my attack at that point." Like anyone else, Lu Kai was curious about Huang Xiaolong's martial spirit. What kind of martial spirit was it? Could it be like the rumors going around in the academy, a grade 11 superb martial spirit? Chapter 72. Wang Xiaolong's martial spirit. The sky ping disappeared from view after Lu Kai finished speaking. A coruscating light burst out as he soul transformed in an instant. After soul transforming, a layer of plumage that was similar to the sky ping covered Lu Kai's body like an armor, his eyebrows elongated, turning into a golden hue, and there were 4 wings emerging from his back. His battle kai soared quickly, blowing off the roof after combining with his martial spirit. After the instant soul transformation, the 4 wings behind his back flapped, and it was as if he disappeared from the air in a flicker of azure light. Wang Xiaolong's eyes squinted. In a sense, he knew Lu Kai did not really disappear, but because his speed was too fast, it created an illusion that he disappeared. All of this was just an illusion. At this moment, the space in front of Wang Xiaolong shook violently, and a piercing sound of wind rang out. His eyes widened. This was an overbearing punch, and the speed at which it was coming at him was almost breaking space constraints. Unable to dodge the attack in time, Wang Xiaolong immediately used Phantom Shadow, but he was still a step too late. Lu Kai's speed after soul transforming had broken his earlier limit, and his fist already hit Wang Xiaolong's chest. Bang! A loud sound resounded, and Wang Xiaolong's body trembled. His feet staggered back 10 steps before coming to a stop on the battle stage. Waves of burning pain erupted in his chest. This was the first time Wang Xiaolong was injured after he came to this world. Lu Kai did not continue to attack after this hit. Instead, his face showed that he was greatly shocked as he looked at Wang Xiaolong. After receiving his head-on attack, Wang Xiaolong only retreated 10 steps, and judging from his appearance, the injury he received was superficial. Wang Xiaolong's physique defense had reached such a strong degree. Lu Kai was astonished, and so was everyone else around. On the main platform, King Luji's eyes flashed, and then he grew quiet as if he was contemplating something. As for Lai Lu, her heart missed a beat from the fright, and a worried expression was fully displayed on her face. Wang Xiaolong, I've said that after I soul transform you wouldn't be able to stand my attack. Lu Kai said as he stared at Wang Xiaolong. How about it? Still don't plan to call out your martial spirit? The crowd's attention in all 4 directions was focused on Wang Xiaolong. Sun Jiang and Shen Chu were staring closely at Wang Xiaolong. They really wanted to know if Wang Xiaolong possessed a grade 11 superb martial spirit. Feeling the gazes of anticipation from all around the stage, Wang Xiaolong calmly looked at Lu Kai, saying, since all of you are so curious about my martial spirit, then I should let you see what my martial spirit is. Hearing Wang Xiaolong's words, the surrounding area became silent, and their hearts tightened, not knowing what to expect. Suddenly, the air behind Wang Xiaolong rippled like water, and a black light spread out and loomed over everything. With a flash, a majestic black dragon floated silently behind Wang Xiaolong, giving the impression that it was overlooking all living beings from a high position. The dragon's terrifying and oppressive aura swept out like a hurricane from the stage. Everyone went into a daze as they stared at the black dragon floating behind. Not moving, not speaking, even forgetting to breathe temporarily. Whether it was King Luji, Sun Jiang, and Shen Chu on the main platform, or Xing Meiki and Lai Lu close to the battle stage, and even Chen Kang who was beaten by Wang Xiaolong, everyone was silent. Staring at the black dragon's 4 mighty, stout claws, each black dragon scale that looked like shiny black iron, and the imposing eyes, everyone was shocked to the core. On the stage, Lu Kai looked blankly at the black dragon. That is a primordial divine dragon. Ancient dragon tribe, a true blood dragon, and this is the elite amongst the dragon tribe, the black dragon. A teacher below the stage exclaimed out loud abruptly in a shaky voice. Primordial divine dragon, the black dragon, an elite amongst the dragon tribe. A split second after that, the entire huge hall broke out in an uproar. The crowd was stirred with excitement and admiration, staring at this legendary martial spirit existence, as if the one possessing primordial divine black dragon was themselves instead of Wang Xiaolong. Primordial divine dragon martial spirits. The weakest wind dragon was said to be an average grade 12 martial spirit. However, the black dragon, the elite amongst the primordial divine dragon tribe, was a top grade 12 martial spirit. Top grade 12. This revelation made Sun Jiang and Shen Chu jump up from their seats, their bodies trembling uncontrollably from excitement. It is actually the primordial divine black dragon. Sun Jiang stuttered incoherently. A top grade 12 martial spirit, grade 12. Top grade 12 martial spirit, not top grade 11. If a top grade 11 martial spirit was shocking enough, what about the existence of an actual top grade 12 martial spirit? When Shen Chu thought of the probability of Wang Xiaolong's future achievements, his lips trembled like he ate 100 pounds of chilies. In the entire 2,000 years of the Duanran Empire's history, talent, Wang Xiaolong definitely can be counted in the top 10, especially when they noticed Wang Xiaolong's black dragon martial spirit was a variation. All around was shock and excitement, apart from 2 people, Fei Hu and Marshal Haoshan. Sovereign actually could separately summon the twin dragon spirits? They looked stupidly at the singular black dragon floating behind Huang Xiaolong. Both of them were aware that Huang Xiaolong possessed twin martial spirits, not only this black dragon, but also the blue dragon that was stronger and more powerful. Across the crowd, Marshal Hayashin and Fei Hu exchanged a look. Because Huang Xiaolong had just returned from training in the Silvermoon Forest, he didn't have the chance to tell either of them that he could summon his martial spirits individually. So they only found out at this point of time, together with the rest of the people. Upon the stage, Lu Kai, who had been in shock, gradually recovered. His eyes had a complicated feeling while looking at Huang Xiaolong, and a strong jealousy towards Huang Xiaolong was born in his heart. Jealousy is part of human nature. I didn't expect your martial spirit to be a primordial divine black dragon. Lu Kai suppressed the jealousy in his heart and slowly said, even so, it can't change the fact of your upcoming defeat. You should be more careful from now on. I will use the battle skill that I have worked hard to master in recent days, 100 saber cut. His hand slowly unsheathed the gilded saber that always hung at his waist. When the saber was unsheathed, a clear buzz reverberated in the air. The gilded saber reflected in the light, exuding a cold, chilling feeling. The bloodthirsty eyes of a beast with sharp fangs were carved on the saber's body. This was the Luotong Kingdom treasured ancestral saber, the god-slaughtering saber. Lifting up the god-slaughtering saber with both of his hands, Lu Kai hit Huang Xiaolong without warning, once again the first to attack. 100 cut saber. 100 saber cut, earth rank battle skill. Ripples traveled across space as dazzling rays shot out from the saber, crashing out like an angry flood towards Huang Xiaolong, enveloping him. The crowd held their breaths in suspense. Under the crowd's watchful eyes, no one could tell when the two cold blades, neither too long nor too short, appeared in Huang Xiaolong's hands. His hand swung out. Tempest of hell. Hundreds of cold blades light materialized out of nowhere, and the air surged rapidly, turning into two cyclones, rotating endlessly. A hellish crying sounded clearly in everyone's ears, into their mind, and deep into their souls. Yang Zhang Yang. Clashes sounded, and the tempest of hell continued to rotate, shattering the saber light from Lu Kai's 100 saber cut attack. And it continued on towards Lu Kai. Sharing. Chapter Content. Chapter 73. The Academy competition comes to an end. Lu Kai was frightened looking at the two groups of the tempest of hell cyclones enveloping over him. The crying sound emitted from them made his heart shiver. Fearful, Lu Kai forced himself to move the four wings at his back, open and close. In an instant, his body spun around into an azure tornado, dodging away speedily. Still, it was a step too late. The two cyclones covered Lu Kai, clashing violently against the azure tornado. Boom! A loud blast resounded. The azure tornado dimmed and its speed slowed, revealing Lu Kai's body and his frightened eyes. In the end, the azure tornado shattered away as the tempest of hell continued onwards. Lu Kai stumbled back again and again, until he reached the edge of the battle stage. Tempest of hell came right before him and dissipated. Seeing the two cyclones finally dissipated just inches in front of him, it was as if his pores relaxed and cold sweat soaked back his back, dampening his robe. Just now, he felt death's breath. Death actually came so close to him. Lu Kai panted heavily. Looking at his right hand, he saw that the right half of his robe sleeve was shredded into pieces by Huang Xiaolong's attack. Cuts on his flesh had blood flowing out, and fortunately, this was considered a superficial injury, not as traumatic as it could have been. When his fright had passed, his complex gaze focused towards Huang Xiaolong. He knew that if it wasn't for Huang Xiaolong's mercy, most likely his right hand would be crippled by now. I lost. Lu Kai breathed out and said to Huang Xiaolong. When the words came out, Lu Kai nearly stumbled down from the stage, looking like all of his energy was exhausted and overdrawn. A commotion swept through the crowd in all directions of the stage. Prince Lu Kai took the initiative to admit defeat, voluntarily surrendering. Someone who had broken through the Seventh Order, possessing a variation Sky Peng martial spirit, who in the end lost to a peak mid-Sixth Order Huang Xiaolong. In the martial spirit world, the myth a Sixth Order could never win over a Seventh Order was broken by Huang Xiaolong. Everyone was caught in unbelievable and inconceivable shock. Whereas up on the honored guest's main platform, each was immersed in their own thoughts. King Luji sighed. I did not expect even Kai's not Huang Xiaolong's opponent. Then, he turned to look at Marshal Hayashin with a gratified expression, laughed, and said, even more surprising is this Huang Xiaolong's martial spirit. It's actually a primordial divine dragon, the Black Dragon. I look forward to his achievement after winning the Academy's first-year competition and his journey to the Duanran Empire for the Imperial City battle. What Lu Jie said was heartfelt words. He was indeed looking forward to Huang Xiaolong's performance in the Imperial City battle in the Duanran Empire. If he could get into the top 10 places, not only is it the Academy's glory, it would also be the Luotong Kingdom's glory. Marshal Hayashin also laughed agreeably and said, this one's wish is the same. Marshal Hayashin held the same anticipation, because he knew it wouldn't be just the Cosmic Star Academy and the Luotong Kingdom's glory, but it would also be the Asura's Gate honor and glory. And with Huang Xiaolong participating in the Duanrun Empire's Imperial City battle, it would be the starting point of rebuilding the Asura's Gate glory once more. After that, there was the battle between empires. A long time later, Sun Jiang finally managed to calm down and he stood up. However, excitement and complicated feelings were still obvious on his face as he looked at Huang Xiaolong on the stage, saying this battle, Huang Xiaolong wins. The first-year champion is Huang Xiaolong. The first-year champion, Huang Xiaolong. When the crowd heard Sun Jiang announce the result, the holy hall broke out in a frenzy. Lai Lu laughed, Fei Hu laughed, and Marshal Hayashin also laughed, not excluding the guards from the martial mansion. The atmosphere in the huge hall boiled up. Zhang Yuan, who was standing amongst the crowd, turned pale white, and his eyes were filled with hate and fear as he stared fixedly at Huang Xiaolong on the stage. Huang Xiaolong won. He got the first place in the first-year competition, then his bet with Huang Xiaolong. Zhang Yuan felt only bleak darkness before him. Hearing Sun Jiang announce the result, Huang Xiaolong secretly breathed out in relief. After a series of difficult battles, he finally achieved his aim to become the first-year champion. Soon after that, the second-year and third-year classes also announced their winners, and the overall winner was somebody called Chen Cheng from the Inner Court of Cosmic Star Academy. His strength had reached peak late, 10th order. 2 months later, he would be heading to the Duanrun Empire as Cosmic Star Academy's representative for this round of the Imperial City battle. The Inner Court of Cosmic Star Academy consisted of talented students selected from the third years, and every year, the number of students there was capped at 10 people. After the total results were collected, it was time for King Lu Ji and Sun Jiang to give out the rewards to Huang Xiaolong and the 3 other winners. While giving out the rewards to Huang Xiaolong, it was inevitable that King Lu Ji and Sun Jiang would speak words of encouragement. Looking at the rewards in his hands, Huang Xiaolong's heart bounced a little with excitement. 1 million gold coins. 1 low-grade earth-rank cultivation technique and battle skill. Most importantly, the high-grade 4 Spirit Dan Xingyao Dan. With this Xingyao Dan, coupled with the cycad fruits he found in the Silver Moon Forest, his father, Wang Peng, can advance another order. Of course, Huang Xiaolong wouldn't swallow this Xingyao Dan himself. He had intended to give it to his Wang Peng all along. With the end of the competition, after some days, he could return to the Huang clan manor. After the rewards were given out, the crowd dispersed and walked away. But after most of the people had dispersed, Lu Kei came up to Huang Xiaolong and said, "I hope that next year we would have a chance to battle again." Next year? Huang Xiaolong nodded. Next year, both of them would enter the second-year class. When the holy hall emptied out, Huang Xiaolong brought Fei Hu and the 4 martial mansion guards and Lai Lu out from the academy back to Tangshuan Mansion. Once back to Tangshuan Mansion, Lai Lu chattered happily while hanging on to Huang Xiaolong's arm about how cool he looked when he defeated Lu Kai, Chen Kang, and the rest on the battle stage. Looking at Lai Lu chattering happily, he could only go with the flow and let Lai Lu tweet away for more than an hour before she was satisfied. More than an hour later, Lai Lu finally left Tangshuan Mansion. After Lai Lu had left, Huang Xiaolong called for Fei Hu and he took out the reward of 1 million gold coins and tasked Fei Hu with buying the neighboring courtyards around Tangshuan Mansion. The number of slaves had increased, making Tangshuan Mansion feel slightly crowded. Buy up the neighboring courtyards? Looking at the pile of 1 million gold coins in front of him, he nodded his head, saying yes. Rest assured, Sovereign, this subordinate will go and handle this matter right away. As long as there were enough gold coins, he believed the owners would sell their places. Also, Fei Hu heard some of the courtyards close to Tangshuan Mansion belonged to the generals under senior brother Hayashin. It shouldn't be too difficult to convince them to sell. When Fei Hu left, Huang Xiaolong returned to his room and started practicing the Asura tactics. According to previous year's rule, the next day after the competition, the winners of each class and year competition were to gather at the Academy Square and they would be guided by Principal Sun Jiang and Vice Principal Chen Chu to the Treasure Land, Dragon Flame Valley to cultivate. When Huang Xiaolong remembered Marshal Haoshin's explanation that Dragon Flame Valley could refine the physique and improve the quality of battle kai, he couldn't help but look forward to it. Since he cultivated the Asura tactics, his referred to his battle kai that was laced with the Netherworld spiritual aura as Netherworld battle kai. The quality of the Netherworld battle kai can be considered as high amongst others. If he could further enhance it, one doesn't know what extent it can reach. The darkness of the night gradually dispersed as sunlight streamed out in the morning sky. Huang Xiaolong withdrew from his practice and came out from his room, feeling good. The tiredness from yesterday's battles vanished completely. Sovereign, there's good news. Just when Huang Xiaolong walked into the main hall, Fei Hu ran in excitedly and spurted out. Senior brother got in touch with Master, and he reported about Sovereign to Master. Master is very happy and is rushing over to the Luotong Kingdom as fast as he can. Sharing. Chapter Content. Chapter 74. Cultivating in the Dragon Flame Valley. You managed to contact your master. When Huang Xiaolong heard this, he couldn't help but feel happy. That's right, Sovereign. Fei Hu smiled and affirmed respectfully, but Master is still in the Mo Kingdom, and to rush to hear from the Mo Kingdom will require around 10 days or so. 10 days, Wang Xiaolong nodded his head softly. He had already waited for 2 years, another 10 days of waiting mattered not to him. Yuming would arrive 10 days later, and at that time, Wang Xiaolong could get the information about the Asura's Gate headquarters location from him. However, Wang Xiaolong will be cultivating in Dragon Flame Valley for half a month. He would only come out after half a month's time after entering there. Therefore, when Yuming arrived, he would have to trouble him to wait a few days until he comes out from the Dragon Flame Valley. After a while, Wang Xiaolong came to the academy square with Fei Hu. Most of the class winners were already waiting there. Wang Xiaolong's presence naturally attracted their attention, causing all the students to look at him. Maybe Wang Xiaolong didn't recognize these students, but no doubt, they recognized him. Yesterday, during the academy competition, Wang Xiaolong's performance was the most dazzling and eye-catching of all. It even curtailed the overall Academy No. 1, Chen Cheng's limelight. Top grade 12 martial spirit. Wang Xiaolong was forever engraved into Duanran Empire's history, not to mention the Luotong Kingdom. In the midst of the student group stood Lu Kai, who lost to Wang Xiaolong, and he had a complicated expression on his face as he looked at the young man smaller than him. Lu Kai was one of the 14 first-year class winners, eligible to enter and practice in the Dragon Flame Valley. Yesterday, after the competition ended, Principal Sun Jiang and Vice Principal Xingqiu gave Zhang Yuan his notice, emphasizing that he doesn't need to come to Cosmic Star Academy anymore. Don't come anymore. Zhang Yuan was expelled, and after being expelled, Zhang Yuan ran to his Lu Kai's mother's sister and cried for a very long time. Moments later, Sun Jiang and Xingqiu appeared on the square. When the two of them arrived, they glanced around the group of students and their eyes lit up brightly like the stars when they spotted Wang Xiaolong. Their demeanor changed in the blink of an eye. The students actually saw Principal Sun Jiang and Vice Principal Xingqiu's mouths bloom into a smile that contained traces of the desire to please Wang Xiaolong, even nodding their heads. Seeing this scene, the group of students felt envy and jealousy, including the overall academy champion, Chen Cheng. Even he had never enjoyed such treatment. And then Sun Jiang opened his mouth and asked, Xiaolong, did you sleep well last night? Did you sleep well last night? Everyone felt like fainting. Even Wang Xiaolong was startled at the carrying question. It was okay. Wang Xiaolong nodded and said. At this time, Xingqiu also said to Wang Xiaolong with a grin on his face, You're still a growing boy, you should eat and sleep well. Growing boy? Eat and sleep well. When the students heard this, they become even more speechless looking at Wang Xiaolong. If envy and jealousy could condense into a solid form, it would flow out from their eyes like water. Okay, since everyone is gathered, we will now bring all of you into the Dragon Flame Valley. Sun Jiang opened his mouth and said. His expression turned serious continued, remember after going into the Dragon Flame Valley, don't run around arbitrarily. Don't run around arbitrarily? Wang Xiaolong's curious heart was stoked. Was there any unknown danger in Dragon Flame Valley? Then, Wang Xiaolong, Lu Kai, and the rest of the students followed Sun Jiang and Xingqiu and walked away from the square, heading towards the mountain behind the academy. The Dragon Flame Valley was located in the academy's back mountain. Half an hour later, Sun Jiang and Xingqiu brought the students to a valley. In front of the valley stood a 10 meters high boulder. On the top part of the boulder, written in the ancient language, were 3 words, Dragon Flame Valley. I'm going to warn you again, one more time after we enter the Dragon Flame Valley, no one is allowed to act rampantly. Standing before the boulder that was the entrance into the valley, Sun Jiang reminded Wang Xiaolong and the rest of the students. Heads nodded in obedience. Only after seeing this did Sun Jiang and Xingqiu guide them into the Dragon Flame Valley. Not sure if it was a misperception, but the moment he stepped into the Dragon Flame Valley, his twin dragon martial spirits actually moved for a second. It was only for a second, and then they stayed still like nothing happened. Thus Wang Xiaolong didn't think too much about it, moving forward with the rest of the students. As they moved deeper into the Dragon Flame Valley, the surrounding temperature grew hotter. Towards the end, Wang Xiaolong felt a prickling pain on his skin due to the high heat. About 15 minutes or so passed and Sun Jiang, Xingqiu, Wang Xiaolong and the others came to a stop before a huge mouth to a cave. When they entered, an effusion of extremely hot heat blew against them. About 6 to 7 meters inside the cave, the 2 sides of the wall were smooth and flat. Every 5 meters, a bright stone was inlaid on the left and right side of the cave wall, lighting up the path. Roughly 100 meters in, they came before a stone door that was opened by Sun Jiang, revealing a 10 square meter stone chamber within. In the middle of the stone chamber was a 5-pointed star array formation and nothing else inside the chamber. Yang Yu, you go in, Sun Jiang said. Yang Yu was the first-year Class 1 winner. Following Sun Jiang's instructions, Jiang Yu went in and sat down in the middle of the 5-pointed star array formation. Then Sun Jiang brought the remaining students deeper inside the cave. Before every stone doors they came across, either Sun Jiang or Xingqiu would open the door and one of the students would be instructed to go inside. Soon, other than Huang Xiaolong, all the first-year winners already entered into a stone chamber. Sun Jiang and Xingqiu came to a flight of stone stairs, and they led the remaining students down to the second level of the cave. On the lower second-level floor, it contained many stone doors just like the floor above, and the second-year class winners were arranged to practice here. Next, they went another level down where the third-year class winners entered into their individual stone chambers. Lastly, the remaining people were the first, second, third, and overall first-place winners. Huang Xiaolong's group of 4 were arranged into stone chambers at the ground level. Prior to entering the Dragon Flame Valley, Sun Jiang briefly explained the logistics of the stone chambers to Huang Xiaolong and the students. The closer the stone chamber was to the vein, the higher and stronger the amount and purity of the Dragon Flame Kai one can absorb through the array formation. Thus, cultivating in the lower levels would bring greater effect, and furthermore, the 4 people on the 4th level can stay for half a month or 15 days, but the students cultivating on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd level were only allowed 5 days' time. This was the biggest advantage of winning the year category competition. The stone door closed after Huang Xiaolong walked in, and he stepped into the middle of the 5-pointed star, like array formation, and sat in a lotus position. The array formation glowed brightly as he started to run the Asura tactics. In the next moment, the twin dragon martial spirits in Huang Xiaolong's body suddenly flew out, floating in the stone chamber, and a dragon's roar echoed in the chamber. What is happening? Huang Xiaolong was flabbergasted. The twin dragon martial spirits were out of his control, flying out from his body by themselves. This kind of situation was a first for Huang Xiaolong. At the same time, strong streams of fire Kai flooded into the room from the ground below through the array formation, turning into many minuscule fire dragons filling up the stone chamber in the span of a few breaths. It was as if Huang Xiaolong was sitting in a sea of fire. Then the twin dragons opened their mouths and devoured these small fire dragons, and Huang Xiaolong felt them enter into his body, and he started to heat up. As his martial spirits continued to swallow the endless fire Kai, it coursed along Huang Xiaolong's meridians, flesh, bones, and everywhere else in his body, and his battle Kai surged within his meridians at the same time. However, what happened next made Huang Xiaolong even more surprised. The twin dragons actually drilled into the ground as if there was something there that attracted them to go beneath the Dragon Flame Valley. Sharing. Chapter Content. Chapter 75. Pagoda. In the blink of an eye, the twin dragons had drilled more than 10 meters into the ground. More and more hot air spewed out from underground, and because Huang Xiaolong and the twin dragons were in truth one entity, what they see, he could also see just the same. More than a dozen meters below, the earth underneath was a burning red in color akin to magma. The twin dragons continued to drill down deeper, 70 meters, 80 meters, 90 meters, 100 meters deep. When it was over 100 meters down, the surrounding soil was a deep red, as if cooked by the fire. The temperature nearly reached 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. At such a temperature, even a Zainian expert would turn into ashes. But Huang Xiaolong's twin dragon martial spirits were unaffected. Nearing 200 meters deep, suddenly, the twin dragons came upon an open space. There was a surging sea of fire, and below it was bubbling magma. The small fire dragons ballooned in size, becoming several meters thick fire dragons. Extreme pure fire Kai rolled and surged like angry waves in the sea of fire. From the magma below, Ki gathered, turning into a huge flame dragon vein. Is this the natural dragon vein below the Dragon Flame Valley? And suspended above the bubbling magma was a pagoda. Golden lights flickered out from the pagoda, while there were several more than 1 meter thick fire dragons circled around it. Moreover, Huang Xiaolong noticed that the pagoda was constantly emitting fire dragon Kai. Huang Xiaolong was stunned. Could all the fire Kai in this Dragon Flame Valley originate out from this pagoda? Could the formation of the natural magma vein below also have been created by the pagoda? What is this pagoda? At this time, the twin dragons above the sea of fire roared with excitement, and 1 black and 1 blue dragon swam towards the pagoda, encircling it. The twin dragons spun endlessly around the pagoda, and the pagoda shone brightly and shook with vigor. The fire dragons around the pagoda shot towards the blue and black dragon, as if they had wisdom, wanting to swallow Huang Xiaolong's twin dragon martial spirits. However, just when these fire dragons got close to them, the black and blue dragon stretched their jaws and devoured all the fire dragons cleanly. The twin dragons didn't stop after devouring the fire dragons that attacked them. They continued on to other fire dragons, and one after another, fire dragons of various sizes went into the black and blue dragon's stomach. These thick fire Kai dragons took more 10 years to reach this size, and their purity was 10 times higher than what Huang Xiaolong could absorb through the 5-pointed star array formation in the stone chamber, maybe even higher than that. A short while later, the fire dragons above the sea of fire were swallowed into the black and blue dragon's stomach till none were left. And after devouring these fire Kai dragons, Huang Xiaolong's twin dragon martial spirits nearly doubled in size. The scales on both of their bodies became even more compact, shinier, and their stout claws grew sturdier. On the surface, the black and blue dragons looked like they were layered with a fiery red glow, rippling along the scales of their body, and the dragon's natural oppressive aura multiplied. When all the fire K dragons were gone, the black and blue dragons once again circled the pagoda. But around the pagoda was an invisible barrier of fire Kai, blocking the black and blue dragons a few meters away, unable to get closer to it. Even so, every time the black and blue dragon spun around it, the fire Kai barrier would become a little thinner. 1 hour later, the fire Kai barrier disappeared completely. Then, the black and blue dragon wrapped the pagoda with their bodies and headed back towards the stone chamber Huang Xiaolong was in. In just moments, both the black and the blue dragon reached the stone chamber. The pagoda floated above Huang Xiaolong's head. Instantly, strong pure flames broke out from the pagoda, rushing into Huang Xiaolong's body. Huang Xiaolong's body shook abruptly as if he fell into a pool of magma. His organs felt like they were being boiled in scorching lava, causing anguishing pain. This type of pain from extreme temperatures almost made Huang Xiaolong lose his consciousness, scaring him so much that he quickly ran the Asura's tactics to refine these violent fire dragon Kai so he can absorb them. One stream of fire Kai after another caused Huang Xiaolong's face to distort due to the excruciating pain. He kept refining the fire Kai that entered his body, but the pagoda kept spewing out an endless stream of fire Kai that it even made Huang Xiaolong hallucinate that he was being roasted inside out. As Huang Xiaolong continued to refine the fire Kai inside his body, on the surface of his skin were traces of black impurities mixed with blood that oozed out from his pores. Years ago, when Huang Xiaolong ate the young fruit, it cleansed his marrows, and at that time, black impurities also came out from his body. Now, however, the amount was significantly higher, and it was mixed with blood. Soon, these blood-mixed impurities turned into a layer of hard scab as if imprisoning him inside. From afar, Huang Xiaolong looked like someone who fell into a pool of blood. After a little more than an hour, relying on the continuous usage of the Asura tactics, Huang Xiaolong could feel the pain gradually subside, and after another 2 hours, the pure fire Kai spewing out from the pagoda gave Huang Xiaolong a warm, comfortable feeling instead of the unbearable pain it had in the beginning. Every time the pagoda spewed out fire Kai, Huang Xiaolong detected the changes inside his body, that his internal organs were becoming stronger. During the entire time, the black and blue dragons were wrapped around the pagoda, swallowing the fire Kai that came out from it. While Huang Xiaolong's twin dragon martial spirits abducted the pagoda into the stone chamber he was in, the rest of the students who were cultivating in the other stone chambers, such as Lu Kai and Chen Cheng, felt the fire Kai from the array formation had weakened slightly. Although they felt weird, none of them thought too much of it. 3 days passed quickly. The surface of Huang Xiaolong's skin hardened with layers of blood mixed with impurities, and it slowly glowed a fiery red color. Then, it melted piece by piece and fell to the floor. This time, more impurities were pushed out from his body once again, creating a new layer on the surface of his skin. Another 3 days came and went. These layers of impurities melted, fell and emerged once again, repeating itself. Like this, after 3 rounds, there were no longer any impurities mixed with blood coming out from Huang Xiaolong's pores. The surface of his skin looked as white as snow with a glow to his entire body. Inside out, Huang Xiaolong's body had undergone tremendous changes. Not only his skin and body, but even his temperament and aura was not the same. When the time limit of 15 days came, Huang Xiaolong had advanced to peak late. 6th order from peak mid. 6th order less than half a step, and he could break through to the 7th order warrior. After the 15th day, Huang Xiaolong recalled his twin dragon martial spirits back into his body, and that pagoda actually followed into his body as well. Inside his body, the pagoda continued to spew out fire Kai, tempering his body non-stop. This discovery made Huang Xiaolong very happy. In this case, doesn't that mean the fire Kai will continue to strengthen his physique every second of the day? In the long run, to what extent would his physical strength and defense improve? Not only that, his meridians and battle Kai can be enhanced infinitely. What extent can they reach? Huang Xiaolong took a deep breath to calm himself down. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, he walked out from the stone chamber seconds later. The other 3 people also came out from their respective stone chambers where Sun Jiang and Shen Chu were already waiting for them. Seeing the 4 students come out, Sun Jiang and Shen Chu's gaze could not help but fall on Huang Xiaolong's body, and the finding made their eyes widen in shock. Chapter 76. Asura's Gate Headquarters. You are Huang Xiaolong? Sun Jiang and Shen Chu stared at Huang Xiaolong with exaggeratedly widened eyes. It had only been 15 days inside the stone chamber, yet Huang Xiaolong actually grew a head taller. His skin, his temperament, and his aura had changed drastically. If they were in a different place, without careful observation, they truly would not be able to recognize Huang Xiaolong. In fact, when Chen Cheng and the other 2 students came out from their stone chambers, they really did not recognize Huang Xiaolong. Looking at Sun Jiang and Shen Chu's reaction, Huang Xiaolong felt helpless about it, and could only nod his head in affirmation. Zhaolong, are you all right? Sun Jiang came up beside him and asked, full of concern. Such drastic changes in 15 days, hopefully, there isn't anything wrong. Nowadays Wang Zhaolong was considered to be the academy and the Luotong kingdom's darling. Me? What could happen to me? Wang Zhaolong smiled helplessly. At the moment, his body was at its best condition. He could probably even kill a grade 7 demonic beast with a single punch. Then all is good. Sun Jiang and Chen Chu secretly breathed out in relief. With the cultivation time ended, the two of them brought Wang Zhaolong and the other 3 students out of Dragon Flame Valley. Lu Kai and the rest had left 10 days earlier. Coming out of the Dragon Flame Valley, the group of 6 soon arrived at the Academy Square. Chen Cheng, Wang Zhaolong, and the other 2 bid farewell to Sun Jiang and Chen Chu, but when Wang Zhaolong turned around wanting to leave, Sun Jiang called out, "Zhaolong, stay for a moment, I have something to say to you." Wang Zhaolong paused for a second and turned back, and he looked at Sun Jiang and Chen Chu both. A look was exchanged between Sun Jiang and Chen Chu. Subsequently, Sun Jiang took out a small bottle and stated, "This is a high-grade 5 Spirit Dan, take it." 5 high-grade 5 Spirit Dan. Wang Zhaolong was taken aback, then his eyes lit up. The Academy overall champion, Chen Cheng, was rewarded with 1 high-grade 5 Spirit Dan. Even to the Academy, grade 5 Spirit Dans are hard to come by. But Sun Jiang and Chen Chu actually gave him 1. Chen Chu chuckled, saying, "That's right, this is a top grade 5 Spirit Dan. Consider it as our personal gift to you. Zhaolong, practice hard. Both of us hope you can advance to the 7th order soon." Wang Zhaolong took the bottle, feeling delighted in his heart. A high grade 5 Spirit Dan, ah! With this, his mother's strength can enhance another level. As for himself, he doesn't need it. On Wang Zhaolong's face was an expression of gratefulness to Sun Jiang and Chen Chu, and he said, "Don't worry, I will practice hard and seize the time to break through to the 7th order as soon as possible." Hearing this, Sun Jiang and Chen Chu's face bloomed. Sun Jiang smilingly said, "With that high grade 4 Spirit Dan you have along with this one, and your talent, we believe within half a year's time you can advance to the peak late 6th order, and in 1 year you definitely can break through to the 7th order." If these 2 people knew Wang Zhaolong wanted to gift the first-year champion's reward, the high-grade 4 Spirit Dan, and this high-grade 5 Spirit Dan to his parents, what would they think? Of course, even without these 2 pills, Wang Zhaolong estimated that he would break through within half a year's time. A short moment later, Wang Zhaolong left the academy, returning to the Tangshuan mansion. When he reached Tangshuan mansion's entrance, Fei Hu, Marshal Hayashin, and a middle-aged man were waiting at the Tangshuan mansion main door. This unknown middle-aged man has sharp-edged eyebrows and deep, unfathomable eyes, and faint streaks of gray hair on his temple. He stood there like a sword ready to fly out from its sheath any time, able to flip the earth over. Marshal Hayashin and Fei Hu, who stood a step behind him, nearly faded into the background. Seeing this middle-aged man, Wang Zhaolong could already guess his identity. Asura's Gate Elder Yu Ming. When Wang Zhaolong appeared, the middle-aged man looked over, his eyes sharp like a knife, giving an invisible oppressive aura, making it difficult to breathe with the pressure he exuded. "Sovereign!" Joy was obvious on Fei Hu's and Marshal Hayashin's faces when they saw Wang Zhaolong. They hurried to introduce Wang Zhaolong to the middle-aged man. "Master, that is the Sovereign. Sovereign is back." Yu Ming's gaze inevitably fell on Wang Zhaolong's left ring finger where the Asura ring was. Suddenly, he trembled excitedly, and all his tyrannical aura disappeared in an instant as he strode towards Wang Zhaolong and bowed down in salute. Asura's Gate Elder Yu Ming, greet the Sovereign. Sovereign invincible throughout. Seeing their master like this, Marshal Hayashin and Fei Hu quickly followed suit. "Quick, please stand." Wang Zhaolong stepped up and helped the 3 of them up. After the 3 stood up, Wang Zhaolong spoke, "Let's go in and talk." Minutes later, the 4 came to the main hall, and Wang Zhaolong waved away the Marshal Mansion guards and Bully's group of slaves. "I heard from Marshal Hayashin and Fei Hu, you went to the Mo Kingdom to do something." After everyone took a seat, Wang Zhaolong asked Yu Ming, "It is so, Sovereign." Yu Ming quickly stood up and answered respectfully, 3 years ago, this subordinate was searching for life and death grass for alchemy, and I heard that the Mo Kingdom has them, so subordinate had rushed over there." Wang Zhaolong nodded, thought for a moment, and said, "Actually, the main purpose I asked Hayashin and Fei Hu to contact you was to inquire about the Asura's Gate current situation and the headquarters location." Asura's Gate headquarters location? Yu Ming spoke in a somber voice. "In fact, the Asura's Gate headquarters is not on the Snowwind continent." "What? Not on Snowwind continent?" Wang Zhaolong was greatly surprised. He turned to look at Fei Hu and Hayashin and found that both of them had the same surprised look on their faces. Apparently, both of them never thought of the possibility that the Asura's Gate headquarters wasn't located on the same continent. "That's right, Sovereign." Yu Ming continued to elaborate. "Our headquarters is built on the Star Cloud continent." Star Cloud continent. Wang Zhaolong's eyes opened wide. In this martial spirit world, wasn't there just Snow Wind Continent? Could there be many different continents? Martial Hayashin and Fei Hu had never mentioned this to him before. In this martial spirit world, there are other continents other than the Snow Wind Continent? Wang Xiaolong took the opportunity to clarify. Yu Ming nodded his head. Yes, Sovereign. In martial spirit world, there are 3 continents: Snow Wind Continent, Star Cloud Continent, and Shifting Continent. Star Cloud and Shifting Continent are many times larger than Snow Wind Continent. Our Asura's Gate headquarters is in the center of Star Cloud Continent, in a place called Zhongzhou, on the peak of the Heavenly Sky Phoenix Mountain. Star Cloud Continent, Zhongzhou, on the peak of the Heavenly Phoenix Mountain. Wang Xiaolong repeated once to himself. Sovereign wants to go to the headquarters? At this time, Yu Ming's brows scrunched together tightly and ventured. If Sovereign planned to go to Asura's Gate headquarters, I'm afraid. Afraid what? Wang Xiaolong pursued. I'm afraid it would be risky. Yu Ming said. 50 years ago, old Sovereign disappeared suddenly. Main Chief Chen Tanqi had always wanted to take control of the Asura's Gate and step into the sovereign position. But Zhao Shu, the left deputy, and Zhang Fu, the right deputy, and many elders opposed the idea. So, the Asura's Gate is divided into 2 factions because of this. Main Chief Chen Tanqi? Wang Xiaolong looked at Yu Ming, full of doubt. Below the sovereign, there is the main chief, left and right deputy, and after them, there are section chiefs and elders. Yu Ming explained. In truth, Main Chief Chen Tanqi is Sovereign's senior brother. My senior brother? Wang Xiaolong was astounded by this piece of information. Yu Ming nodded and continued. Main Chief Chen Tanqi is the disciple that old Sovereign received about 200 years ago. These years, he had continued to search for news of the old Sovereign. If Sovereign wants to go to the headquarters, and is made known to Main Chief Chen Tanqi, he will surely attempt to assassinate you to snatch the Asura ring so that he could take over the Sovereign's position with justification. Chapter 77. Heavenly Treasure. Wang Xiaolong's eyebrows creased lightly. He didn't expect that he would have a senior brother. Chen Tanqi? Wang Xiaolong understood what Yu Ming meant. In the current situation, the Asura's Gate was divided into 2 factions. One side led by Chen Tanqi, who wants to take over the sect and be the sovereign, while the other is led by the left and right deputy, Zhao Shu and Zhang Fu. Most of the elders agreed and sided with Zhao Shu and Zhang Fu. Only the person possessing the Asura ring can replace the old sovereign, just like Yu Ming and his disciples, Hayashin and Fei Hu. There was no question of Yu Ming and this faction's loyalty. Otherwise, when Yu Ming, Hayashin, and Fei Hu found out he possessed the Asura ring, they would have snatched it from him without a second thought. If Chen Tanqi's faction was made aware of his existence and the fact that the Asura ring was in his hands, even if he was far away in the Snow Wind Continent, in this small sesame seed Luotong kingdom, he would fall into a dangerous position. At this time, Yu Ming's voice sounded again. If Main Chief Chen Tanqi knew about Sovereign and the Asura ring, he would definitely send people to kill Sovereign. Chances are he might even come over himself. Wang Xiaolong's voice sounded somber as he asked, This Chen Tanqi, how strong is his strength? Yu Ming shook his head, saying subordinate is not very clear about this. In the last decade, no one has seen Main Chief Chen Tanqi reveal his true strength. However, during the time when the old sovereign left, Main Chief Chen Tanqi's strength has already reached 5th Order Saint realm. 5th Order Saint. Wang Xiaolong's heart missed a beat hearing that. It meant that more than a decade ago, this Chen Tanqi was already a 5th Order Saint realm warrior. At this moment, Wang Xiaolong truly felt his strength was still too weak. Although compared to peers his age, his talent and progress can be considered as heaven-defying, against those Xiantian and Saint Realm warriors, his measly strength was insignificant. Relying on Chen Tanqi's 5th Order Saint strength to extinguish himself, Chen Tanqi could do it without even moving his pinky. Again, Yu Ming continued to speak, interrupting Wang Xiaolong's thoughts. Main Chief Chen Tanqi's talent is very high, possessing a top grade 13 martial spirit, a 12 wings angel. Moreover, his angel martial spirit has the strongest battle power, the War Angel. A top grade 13 martial spirit, the 12 wings angel, possessing the strongest battle power, the War Angel. Wang Xiaolong's eyes narrowed in a pensive manner. But this was not surprising to Wang Xiaolong because only those possessing top superb martial spirits could withstand the netherworld hells, slaughter intent and practice the Asura tactics, thereby becoming Ren Wokuang's disciple. If this was the case, then apart from Wang Xiaolong and Ren Wokuang, in this world there is another person that practiced the Asura tactics, Chen Tanqi. Of course, judging from what Yu Ming said, although Chen Tanqi practiced Asura tactics like him, he did not have the blades of Asura. Thus, Wang Xiaolong was sure Chen Tanqi has no cultivation knowledge of the Asura sword skills and the Asura demon claw. Furthermore, according to what was written on the illustrations, only the Asura's Gate sovereign could practice them. Clearly, Chen Tanqi did not learn any of them. Between this piece of heaven and earth, there was only Wang Xiaolong and Ren Wokuang who practiced the Asura sword skill and the Asura demon claw. Master, in fact, Sovereign's talent is no worse than Main Chief Chen Tanqi. At this time, Fei Hu hastened to say to Yu Ming, Prior, without Huang Xiaolong's permission, Fei Hu and Martial Hayashin dared not reveal anything about his martial spirit to their master Yu Ming while he was cultivating in the Dragon Flame Valley. So, until this moment, Yu Ming didn't know about Huang Xiaolong's superb twin martial spirits. Hearing Fei Hu speak, Yu Ming quickly turned to Huang Xiaolong, an expression of disbelief on his face. Could it be Sovereign also has a top grade 13 martial spirit? Main Chief Chen Tenki was the person with the highest talent in the Asura's Gate and in the entire Star Cloud continent. His talent was considered as one of the premier talents, not to mention a top grade 13 martial spirit. Even grade 13 martial spirits are rare gems in the whole martial spirit world, so Yu Ming can't be blamed for his reaction of disbelief when it was implied that Huang Xiaolong, like Chen Tenki, possessed a top grade 13 martial spirit. At this point, Martial Hayashin and Fei Hu shifted their sights towards Huang Xiaolong. Yu Ming's eyes had not moved away from Huang Xiaolong since hearing Fei Hu's words. In the next moment, Huang Xiaolong called out his twin dragon martial spirits, not planning to deceive Yu Ming. Instantly, a radiant light burst out from Huang Xiaolong's body and a huge black dragon was seen floating above him. Primordial Divine Black Dragon. Both of Yu Ming's eyes protruded with surprise. Top grade 12 martial spirit. Such a talent, although incomparable to main chief Chen Tenki, but it was still shocking, and it was enough to stand at the helm and become their Asura's Gate sovereign. Exactly at this moment, a dazzling blue light broke out behind Huang Xiaolong. Under Yu Ming's dumbfounded eyes, a blue dragon materialized in the hall, floating quietly in midair next to the black dragon. The black and blue dragons entwined together, and the echoes of the dragon's roar vibrated in all four directions. The dumbfounded Yu Ming stared blankly at the two dragons. His mind was a piece of white. Superb twin martial spirits. Moreover, both were primordial divine dragon martial spirits. Blue dragon, so many years in the martial spirit world, yet Yu Ming had never heard of anyone possessing a blue dragon martial spirit. Blinking out for some time, Yu Ming's tongue was twisted into a knot, similar to how his disciples, Fei Hu and Martial Hayashin, reacted when they first found out. In an abrupt action, Yu Ming stood up from his seat and knelt down on a single knee. Sovereign invincible throughout! Yu Ming lauded, trembling with excitement. Huang Xiaolong quickly held Yu Ming up, but he remained kneeling for a long time before he was willing to get up. Even so, he didn't seem to have calmed down, and the way he looked at Huang Xiaolong was completely different from before. After Yu Ming had stood up, Huang Xiaolong had thought for a moment before saying, "I have something to show you all." In front of Yu Ming, Fei Hu and Martial Hayashin, another bright light shone behind Huang Xiaolong, revealing a shiny golden pagoda. The very same pagoda Huang Xiaolong had found in the Dragon Flame Valley. As an elder of the Asura's Gate, Yu Ming has a wide amount of knowledge and experience, and he probably could recognize this pagoda. Huang Xiaolong wanted to let Yu Ming identify what kind of treasure the pagoda was. With the degree of loyalty shown by the trio of master disciples, Huang Xiaolong wasn't afraid they would leak out news about it. Fei Hu, Martial Hayashin, and Yu Ming looked at the golden pagoda behind Huang Xiaolong, and each of them was filled with puzzlement. However, Yu Ming suddenly shook as if he was electrified. This was just as dramatic as when he saw Huang Xiaolong's black dragon. With quivering lips, he pointed a finger at the golden pagoda floating behind Huang Xiaolong, his eyes almost popping out as he stammered. Is this the Linglong Treasure Pagoda? Linglong Treasure Pagoda. Both Fei Hu and Martial Hayashin looked over to the excited Master Yu Ming, and the two became even more confused. Obviously, both of them had never heard of this Linglong Treasure Pagoda. Huang Xiaolong's attention was also on Yu Ming. The Linglong Treasure Pagoda. It is really the Linglong Treasure Pagoda. At this moment, it looked like nothing existed other than the golden pagoda in front of Yu Ming, his eyes burning with emotion, and the rhythm of his breathing quickened. Seeing Yu Ming's dramatic reaction, Huang Xiaolong felt speechless. However, judging by his reaction, this so-called Linglong Treasure Pagoda is a very rare and valuable item. After what seemed like half a day's time, Yu Ming finally calmed down. Looking at Huang Xiaolong, his eyes contained the slightest traces of envy. Even when Huang Xiaolong called out his twin dragon's superb martial spirits, there wasn't envy in his eyes. Inhaling a deep breath, Yu Ming said to Huang Xiaolong, "Between heaven and earth, there exist objects referred to as heavenly treasures. Every time a heavenly treasure appears, it will set off bloody trails behind it. Numerous powers compete for it, and numerous people die for it." Yu Ming paused for a second here before continuing, eyes sparkling as he stared at the pagoda behind Huang Xiaolong. Between heaven and earth, there are a total of 32 heavenly treasures. And Sovereign's Pagoda, if I'm not mistaken, should be the number 9 Linglong Treasure Pagoda. Heavenly Treasure, the number 9 Linglong Treasure Pagoda. Yu Ming added, "Every heavenly treasure has different magical effects, especially towards a person's cultivation. It provides an unimaginable benefit. Sovereign should be aware of this, since Sovereign managed to reign in this Linglong Treasure Pagoda. Also, as Sovereign becomes stronger in the future, the benefits of this Linglong Treasure Pagoda will only increase. Chapter 78. Heavenly Treasure List Number 1. Wang Xiaolong slowly nodded his head. Indeed, the Linglong Treasure Pagoda emitted fire dragon Kai all times inside his body, and this Kai was way purer than the fire Kai that could be absorbed from the 5-pointed star array in Dragon Flame Valley stone chambers. The purity level can be said to be more than 10 times greater. Like what Yuming had said earlier, this Linglong Treasure Pagoda brings unimaginable benefits to Wang Xiaolong's future cultivation. You said, as I grow stronger, this pagoda will play a bigger role? Wang Xiaolong asked Yuming. What do you mean? Yuming replied respectfully, about the Linglong Treasure Pagoda, subordinate doesn't know much, but I heard some say that the Linglong Treasure Pagoda has 9 layers in total. As its master becomes stronger, each layer can be opened accordingly. 9 layers in total. Wang Xiaolong was shocked. Although he reigned in the Linglong Treasure Pagoda, but he truly did not know that there were 9 layers inside the pagoda. Could every floor hold a different treasure within? This time, Yuming's voice sounded as he continued to explain. Based on rumors, from the first layer of Linglong Treasure Pagoda, it could produce something called the Fire Dragon Pearl. As for its uses, this subordinate is not sure. Fire Dragon Pearl. Wang Xiaolong's heartbeat quickened. This Fire Dragon Pearl should be some kind of beads condensed out from the accumulation of Fire Dragon Kai. In its natural form, Fire Dragon Kai could temper and strengthen the physical body, enhance the quality of battle Kai. Therefore, needless to say, this Fire Dragon Pearl is probably even more potent. Swallowing it before practice could produce a better result 100 times over. Suddenly, Wang Xiaolong thought of an important issue and asked Yuming then, this Fire Dragon Pearl, can others swallow it for cultivation? If others can do so, when he opens the first layer later, he could give this Fire Dragon Pearl to his parents, little sister, little brother, Lai Lu, as well as Fei Hu Haoshan, and the rest. Doesn't this mean his parents and people close to him can also temper their physique and enhance their battle Kai continuously? Yuming was a little surprised with the question, and after thinking for a moment, he said, others should be able to. However, sovereign, according to rumors, the Linglong Treasure Pagoda needs natural spiritual aura to be able to form Fire Dragon Pearl, so it might be able to produce only 1 Fire Dragon Pearl after a certain period of time intermittently. This made Wang Xiaolong frown, and he questioned, is there any other method to make Linglong Treasure Pagoda produce more Fire Dragon Pearl? Yuming shook his head. This subordinate doesn't know. Wang Xiaolong nodded slowly. It seems he can only wait and test it out in the future. Then, do you know what level of strength is needed to open the first layer of the pagoda? Wang Xiaolong asked in a somber voice. Rumors has it that one should be a Haoshan 7th order, and the second layer needs to be a Xinshan 1st order. Yuming answered before adding, but what strength is needed to open the 3rd layer, this subordinate doesn't know. Haoshan 7th order. Wang Xiaolong was delighted. If this is true, then within half a year's time doesn't that mean he could open the Linglong Treasure Pagoda's 1st layer? He is confident that he could break through to the 7th order in the upcoming 6 months. Na, do you know the number 1 treasure on the heavenly treasure list? Wang Xiaolong asked another question out of curiosity. A treasure such as the Linglong Treasure Pagoda was only listed as the 9th, so this made Wang Xiaolong wonder about the treasure that was reputed as number 1. I heard it was a mountain. Yuming replied. A mountain. Wang Xiaolong was stunned. He imagined many different possibilities, but it never crossed his mind that the first heavenly treasure would turn out to be a mountain. Yuming nodded. That's right, sovereign. It is a mountain called Heavenly Mount. Zumi. Heavenly Mount. Zumi. Wang Xiaolong repeated. According to legends on the Heavenly Mount, Zumi, there is something called geocentric Buddha milk, a wonder accumulated between heaven and earth. After swallowing it, cultivation is only half the effort. The person who has the Heavenly Mount Zumi is said to be blessed with the great earth's power, enhancing one's defense until it reaches a certain threshold. Yuming said, not only that, there is a battle skill within the Heavenly Mount Zumi called the Godly Zumi Law, and it was claimed to be the strongest battle skill ever. Godly Zumi Law, strongest ever battle skill. Then that is the strongest battle skill in this world. However, after appearing once more hundreds of thousands years ago, there hasn't been any news of the Heavenly Mount Zumi since then. Yuming shook his head as if in pity. Oh, why is that? Wang Xiaolong was curious. Only those possessing superb talent martial spirits could reign in these heavenly treasures. The higher the rank of the heavenly treasure, the higher the requirements of martial spirits. Therefore, it needed people with grade 13 and above martial spirits to have a chance. Especially in the case of the Heavenly Mount Zumi, it needed someone with twin martial spirits of the same kind to reign it in, but in the martial spirit world, it has been thousands of years since someone like that has appeared. At this point, Yuming's eyes lit up like the stars as he looked at Wang Xiaolong. I didn't expect that after so long, Sovereign actually possesses the same kind superb twin martial spirits. Hearing this, Wang Xiaolong was stunned at first, and it turned to joy. If what Yu Ming said was true, then this godly Mount Zumi is still ownerless. By chance, if he comes to encounter it in the future, he must definitely reign it. Sovereign, in fact, your Linglong Treasure Pagoda also has a set of heritage cultivation methods called the Golden Linglong Body. Yu Ming stated matter of factly, this Golden Linglong Body is a high grade heaven rank physique cultivation method. Physique cultivation method. Wang Xiaolong's eyes were twinkling with delight. The Asura tactics is but a battle cultivation technique, and at the moment, what he lacked most was a way to strengthen his physical body. But how can he get this cultivation method from the Linglong Treasure Pagoda? Sovereign, when you have advanced to the 7th order and are able to open the first layer of the pagoda, you may get it at that time. Yu Ming smiled and said, as if knowing what Wang Xiaolong was thinking about. Hearing this, Wang Xiaolong was relieved. So that's how it is. All this time, Marshal Haoshan and Fei Hu sat on the side, not daring to utter a sound, listening to Yu Ming and Wang Xiaolong's conversation. The shock they received was hard to imagine even though both of them can be considered as strong experts. But just like Wang Xiaolong, this was their first time hearing about heavenly treasures that exist in this world. Such amazing things. Do you have news about other heavenly treasures? Again, Wang Xiaolong continued with his questions. Wang Xiaolong asked the question casually, and Yu Ming's answer surprised him. Subordinate has heard that there is a heavenly treasure in the Duanran Empire's Duanran Institute, the Absolute Soul Pearl. The Absolute Soul Pearl is ranked at number 4 on the list. Duanran Institute, Absolute Soul Pearl, Heavenly Treasure List number 4. Wang Xiaolong's eyes shone brightly. Yu Ming added, years ago, for this Absolute Soul Pearl, the old sovereign had sneaked into the Duanran Institute. Unfortunately, before he could find it, he was found by the Duanran Institute's guardians and was encircled by the Institute's experts. In the end, he could only leave with failure. Master Ren Woquang also tried to get the Absolute Soul Pearl. This information was out of Wang Xiaolong's expectation. Then, this Absolute Soul Pearl also has a heritage battle skill, or physique cultivation method. Yu Ming nodded in affirmation. Yes, in general, the first 10 heavenly treasures will have them. The Absolute Soul Pearl contains a battle skill called the Absolute Soul Finger that is said to be able to penetrate to the deepest of hell once practiced to major completion. Can penetrate to the deepest of hell. As for news of other treasures, subordinate is not clear. Yu Ming said. A while later, Yu Ming, Fei Hu and Marshal Haoshan receded from the main hall. Meanwhile, Wang Xiaolong was lost in thought. Unexpectedly, there was a ranked 4 heavenly treasure in Duanran Empire's Duanran Institute, the Absolute Soul Pearl. Even with Master Ren Woquang's strength, he couldn't take it out from the Duanran Institute. Then the only way to proceed was to become a Duanran Institute student, explore the grounds, and wait for the opportunity to strike. Duanran Institute. Battle of the Imperial City. As long as he could enter the first 1,000 places, he could be one of the Duanran Institute's students. With Wang Xiaolong's cultivation speed, within a decade, he was sure to become the Cosmic Star Academy's overall champion, and then he could proceed to the Duanran Empire to participate in the Imperial City battle. Chapter 79. Wang Xiaolong goes home. Battle of the Imperial City. A light flickered in Wang Xiaolong's eyes. He must enhance his strength as soon as possible and win the Academy's overall champion position to head to the Duanran Empire to participate in the Battle of the Imperial City, all so that he could enter Duanran Institute. Once he entered the Duanran Institute, even if that Chen Tenki found out about his existence, he could not deal with him to excel blatantly. More than 50 years ago, Chen Tenki was already a 5th-order saint. This fact made Wang Xiaolong feel even more anxious to increase his strength. However, the most crucial thing at the moment was to break through to the 7th order and open the Linglong Treasure Pagoda's first layer. Not long after Yu Ming, Fei Hu, and Marshal Haoshan had left, Wang Xiaolong returned to his room and started cultivating the Asura tactics. Sitting cross-legged on the cold jade bed, the netherworld's spiritual aura poured down from the space above like a gushing river. The black and blue dragons were devouring the spiritual aura with greed. The Linglong Treasure Pagoda also came out, floating above Wang Xiaolong, parallel with the twin dragons. Golden lights flickered as streams of fire kai drilled into Wang Xiaolong's body, tempering every inch of Wang Xiaolong's physique, from his meridians to his netherworld battle kai. Before this, the netherworld battle kai in his body was a faint gray. But now, after fusing with the fire kai, its color had slowly changed, deepening into a dark gray color. The darkness of the night deepened. Silence pervaded the land. The moonlight shined like the water's reflection, while Wang Xiaolong remained on the cold jade bed shrouded in a fog of dark gray light. And within this dark gray light, red flames flashed intermittently. One night passed. When the morning sunlight streamed onto Wang Xiaolong's courtyard, he ended his practice for the night. Breathing in the fresh air that accompanied the early morning, Wang Xiaolong subsequently looked towards the direction of Kenglin County, the location of the Huangclan Manor. In another 2 weeks, it would be the first day of the new year, and today he planned to journey back to the Huang clan manor. If his speed was quick enough, he would be able to make it back to Huang clan manor in 12, or at most 13 days' time. Thinking that when he returned he could see his parents and his siblings who he hasn't seen in a year's time, Wang Xiaolong almost couldn't suppress the excitement in his heart. I don't know if mom and dad are well? Repressing the excitement in his heart, Wang Xiaolong wondered. Before he left, his dad had taken that high-grade 4 Spirit Dragon Tiger Fundamental Dan, and his dad was already a peak late 6th Order at that time. In this 1 year's time, very likely he had broken through to the 7th Order. The 7th Order, although it was still a lot worse compared to his eldest uncle, Wang Ming, a peak late 7th Order, Wang Xiaolong believed in 5 to 6 years' time he could help his dad catch up to Wang Ming, and maybe even surpass him. Leaving his courtyard, Wang Xiaolong went to the main hall and saw that Yu Ming, Fei Hu, and Marshal Haoshan were already waiting for him. Seeing Wang Xiaolong's arrival, the 3 of them quickly went up to salute, and more than an hour later, Wang Xiaolong, Marshal Haoshan, and Fei Hu left Tangshuan Mansion, starting their journey back to Kanglin County, back to Huang Clan Manor. Yu Ming, however, wasn't included within the group heading back to Huang Clan Manor. Instead, he left the Luotong Kingdom, rushing back to the Asuras Gate headquarters on the Star Cloud continent. Matters about Wang Xiaolong, he must let both the left and right deputy know so that they can send Saint Realm experts to ensure Wang Xiaolong's safety. Of course, Yu Ming was given expressed permission by Wang Xiaolong to inform Zhao Shu and Zhang Fu. Otherwise, Yu Ming would not act on his own. However, before Yu Ming departed, Wang Xiaolong ordered Yu Ming not to disclose his identity, lest too many people know about him. Other than Zhao Shu and Zhang Fu, he should not tell anyone else about him. Yu Ming acknowledged the order respectfully. 10 days passed since Wang Xiaolong started to head back to Huang Clan Manor. Wang Xiaolong, Marshal Haoshan, and Fei Hu had arrived at the south side of county city of Kanglin County. From the county city to the Huang Clan Manor, they only needed to travel for another 2 days. While Wang Xiaolong reached the county city in the eastern courtyard of the Huang Clan Manor, Wang Peng and Su Yan were sitting in the main hall, looking worried and anxious. Another 4 days until the new year. Xiaolong said he will come back at the end of the year, and until now he hasn't come back. Pengji, what do you think? Did Xiaolong encounter danger that we don't know? Su Yan asked, and her face showed a trace of sorrow. If something happened to Xiaolong, what would we do? Su Yan grew more anxious by the second and abruptly stood up from her seat to pace back and forth in the main hall, lost in worry, not knowing what to do. Wang Peng was also worried, brows frowning tightly, and said, "There is Senior Fei Hu with Xiaolong, so don't worry. Nothing will happen. Isn't there still 4 days before the first day of New Year? Xiaolong should be back in another 2 days. Although Wang Peng comforted Su Yan by saying so, like Su Yan, he was also worried about his son. Despite knowing Fei Hu was a peak late 10th Order, the world was still a dangerous place and anything could happen. After all, Fei Hu could not guarantee Wang Xiaolong's safety at all times. I heard Lai Lu already came back from Cosmic Star Academy a few days ago. Su Yan suddenly said out of nowhere. What his wife was thinking of, Wang Peng naturally could guess. Smiling bitterly, Wang Peng tried to be persuasive. Miss Lai Lu is a talented Cosmic Star Academy student. Although our Xiaolong isn't too bad, I don't think he could catch Miss Lai Lu's sight. There are so many talented people in Cosmic Star Academy. Because Wang Xiaolong had requested Lai Cheng from early on not to mention his matters in the royal city to Huang Clan Manor. Thus, when Lai Cheng and Lai Lu returned to Kanglin County, neither of them said anything about Wang Xiaolong. Wang Peng and Su Yan still doesn't know that their son is also a Cosmic Star Academy student. At this time, Wang Min ran in from outside, shouting, "Mom, Dad, brother Wang Zhen has returned." Wang Peng and Su Yan were startled. Wang Zhen has returned? Wang Ming has 2 sons. The second son was Wang Wai, while the eldest son, Wang Zhen, was accepted into one of the neighboring kingdom's prominent sects, the Beilong Kingdom's Big Sword sect. Wang Zhen hasn't returned to Huang Clan Manor in 3 years, so they didn't expect he would come back to celebrate the new year this time. Not only that, brother Wang Zhen brought a weirdly dressed person with him. Wang Min added, "A weirdly dressed person?" Wang Peng and Su Yan exchanged a look, guessing it should be Wang Zhen's same sect disciple. Both of them felt strange that Wang Zhen would bring someone from his sect back to celebrate the new year, but they did not think too much about it. At the same time, laughter resounded in the northern courtyard. The always deadpan expression on Wang Ming's face was replaced with a big smile. Next to Wang Ming was a young man about 15 to 16 years old, muscular, thick eyebrows and sharp eyes. This was Wang Ming's eldest son, Wang Zhen, and next to Wang Zhen sat Wang Wai. However, the one sitting on the main seat in the main hall wasn't Wang Ming, but a middle-aged man who dressed strangely. And this middle-aged man was Wang Zhen's master, Liu Wai, Big Sword sect leader. Wang Zhen's talent was quite good, Possessing an average grade 9 martial spirits plus due to his high comprehension ability and diligent effort, he was taken as Liu Wai's pro-disciples not long after he entered Big Sword Sect. Liu Wai actually came to take care of something on the southwest side of Luo Tong Kingdom, and Huang Zhen requested to visit his family. Since it was along the way, Liu Wai agreed to stay in Wang Clan Manor for a few days. When Wang Ming heard his son introduce the middle-aged man as Big Sword Sect leader, his manner was extremely respectful after getting over his shock. A wide smile plastered on his face, carrying the bearings of a slave. Liu Wai was not only Big Sword Sect leader, he was also a Xiantian realm expert. Big brother, it's great you've returned. That Huang Xiaolong and his father is too arrogant nowadays. At some point, Wang Wai, who was sitting next to Wang Zhen, complained, during last year's clan assembly, that Huang Xiaolong broke both of my hands and legs. You absolutely must avenge your younger brother. What? That brat broke your hands and legs? Hearing this, Wang Zhen's expression darkened. How did it become like this? Note: there are 15 days to a celebration for Chinese New Year, beginning from the first day for me. It starts from the reunion dinner on the 7th day. It is considered as everyone's birthday. The 15th day, Lantern Festival Day. Every day has a different meaning to it. Chapter 80. Mishap in the Eastern Courtyard. More than 2 years ago, I don't know what kind of dog shit luck that brat ran into to actually eat a piece of yang fruit. Wang Wai complained incessantly, and went on to tell how Wang Xiaolong ambushed him during the clan assembly sparring because of his jealousy of Wang Wai's high talent, and Wang Xiaolong disregarded brotherhood and broke his arms and legs in front of everyone. Wang Wai added a variety of spices to his story. At that time, Wang Xiaolong still wasn't satisfied after breaking my hands and legs, and he ordered his slave to attack, injuring dad and grandfather. At the end of it, Wang Wai exclaimed woefully. As for the matter about Wang Ming violating clan rules, interrupting the sparring, and attacking Wang Xiaolong first were swept under the carpet. What? His slave attacked and injured grandfather and dad? Wang Zhen looked at Wang Ming, his eyes becoming cold, yet at the same time he was shocked. His grandfather, Wang Kaid, was a 10th order warrior, and a mere slave of Wang Xiaolong had this strength? It is so, Jenner. Wang Ming nodded, confirming what Wang Wai had just said. That slave of Wang Xiaolong is called Fei Hu. Saying this, Wang Ming thought of the humiliation when he was struck by Fei Hu's palm and crashed into rows of chairs. Hate flashed strongly across his eyes. That dog slave Fei Hu is a peak late 10th order expert. The peak of late 10th order. Wang Zhen was stunned. He could not help but turn to look at his master Liu Wai, and he hesitated before muttering, "Master, this." Liu Wai remained blasé as he waved his hand. "Isn't it only a measly peak late 10th order warrior?" Wang Zhen was overjoyed. Master's words meant he agreed to speak for them. Wang Zhen immediately stood up from the seat. "Thank you, Master." Wang Ming and Wang Wai were also happy hearing that, so they followed Wang Zhen's action. Both of them stood up and respectfully thanked Liu Wai. Wang Ming laughed heartily. "It is great that Senior Liu Wai is here. That dog of a slave Fei Hu will last one strike before Senior Liu Wai." Wang Wai agreed. Of course, in front of Senior Liu Wai, the dog slave Fei Hu will be scared until he pisses in his pants. That Huang Xiaolong and Fei Hu are at the Eastern Courtyard now? Wang Zhen asked. No, Huang Xiaolong has left Huang Clan Manor for almost a year, but he did say that he would return at the end of the year. It should be in these 2 days' time. Wang Zhen sneered. Doesn't matter, wait until that brat and his dog slave, Fei Hu or whatever, comes back. It is not too late to teach them a lesson then. In the meantime, we can collect some interest. Collect some interest? Wang Wai looked at Wang Zhen, confused. Big brother, you mean? Wang Zhen nodded his head and said, correct. Wang Peng and Su Yan allowed their son to indulge in committing violent acts and ignoring clan rules, becoming so presumptuous as to injure grandfather and dad. These two must be punished. He sneered and added, it has been some years since I've seen Wang Peng and Su Yan. I should take this opportunity to greet them. Wang Ming frowned. However, he kept silent, not voicing any objections or words of agreement. A short while later, the group led by Wang Zhen came to the Eastern Courtyard. When Wang Zhen, Wang Ming, and the others stepped into the Eastern Courtyard, Wang Peng and Su Yan were presently sitting in the main hall, and both Wang Min and Wang Xiaohai were together with them. When Wang Peng and Su Yan saw Wang Zhen, Wang Ming, Wang Wai, and another stranger walked in, both were surprised. Wang Zhen. Wang Peng almost couldn't recognize the young man next to Wang Ming. A few years ago, Wang Zhen was still a youth. Now, Wang Zhen is taller than 5 feet 7 with broad shoulders and a thick waist. A brawny figure of a man. It is me. Wang Zhen answered with a cold expression. Wang Peng, in last year's clan assembly, you actually dared to indulge your son's violent actions, injuring my dad and grandfather. Wang Peng and Su Yan blanked for a moment and realization dawned on them. The reason why these 4 people came over to the Eastern Courtyard. Wang Ping glanced at the four, knowing an explanation is of no use, and his expression became gloomy, his voice heavy and somber. So what? Leering coldly, Wang Jun repeated in a cold voice, so what? Since your son and dog servant are absent, then I will collect some interest from you. Wait till your son comes back 2 days later, we can settle the debt once and for all. Wang Ming just stood there like an audience, watching and not speaking. Wang Peng glared at them furiously. Clear the debt. You brat, even if you entered Big Sword Sect as their disciple, you are not qualified to swagger in the eastern courtyard as you please. Here is Wang Clan Manor, not the Big Sword Sect. Suddenly, at this time, a tyrannical energy rushed towards Wang Peng, giving him no time to react or dodge. His body shook violently as if hit by a huge pressure and flew off, smashing into a wall in the main hall, vomiting blood as he slid down. Peng Ji. Dad. Su Yan, Wang Min, and Wang Zhao, I cried out in fright, flying to Wang Peng's side. Peng Ji, are you okay? Please don't scare me. Su Yan tried to help Wang Peng up. Tears flowed down uncontrollably as she held onto Wang Peng tightly. Dad. Wang Min and Wang Zhao Hai. The two little guys' eyes were red as they cried pitifully. Wang Peng looked at Su Yan, his voice hoarse as he comforted. I'm all right. Another mouthful of blood came out from his mouth before he could finish his words. This turn of events also shocked Wang Ming, Wang Jun, and Wang Wai. Wang Jun turned to look at the person next to him. The one who hit Wang Peng just now was his master Liu Wai. Master, this Wang Jun paused. Although Wang Peng's words were offensive towards the Big Sword Sect, but weren't Liu Wai a little heavy-handed? No matter what, Wang Peng was his uncle. Liu Wai was indifferent, being disrespectful to Big Sword Sect. The punishment is death. Then he paused, however. For your sake I spared his life. Don't worry, he won't die. At most he'll be bedridden for 3 to 4 months. Bedridden for 3 to 4 months? Hearing this, Wang Ming and Wang Jun were relieved. At this point, Wang Min, who was crying miserably, suddenly stood up with hatred in her eyes and lunged at Wang Wai. You all bully my dad, I'll fight all of you. Watching Wang Min coming at him, Wang Wai lifted his leg and kicked at Wang Min. Although Wang Min had started practicing Battle Kai, she wasn't Wang Wai's opponent. The strength Wang Wai used in the kick wasn't light, and it made Wang Min utter a painful scream. Minner! Seeing this, Su Yan wailed her daughter's name. Then, a bustle of footsteps was heard from outside. A group of Wang Clan Manor guards had rushed over and saw Wang Peng and Wang Min lying on the ground in the main hall, and they were shocked. Return to your posts. This doesn't concern you all. Seeing the gathering guards, Wang Ming issued his command. The guards looked at each other, not sure what to do. Didn't you hear what I've said? Step back. Wang Ming raised his voice and snapped. Yes, eldest Manor Lord. The group of Wang Clan Manor guards was scared witless. They answered weakly and stepped to the side. And Wang Kai, who was enclosed door practice, had just come out, and Chief Steward Chen Ying hurried up to report, Old Manor Lord, not good. Something happened in the eastern courtyard. Eastern courtyard? Wang Kai was startled. What happened? Today, young Lord Wang Jun came back, and he probably heard about what happened during last year's clan assembly where Senior Fei who injured the eldest Manor Lord. Just now, he brought the eldest Manor Lord to the eastern courtyard. Chen Ying summarized the event for Wang Kai. What? Wang Kai's expression changed. Hurry to the eastern courtyard. Moments later, Wang Kai and Chen Ying arrived at the eastern courtyard. The first thing they saw was the injured Wang Peng lying on the floor. And that wraps up today's journey, fellow cultivators. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to leave a like and drop a comment sharing your favorite part of the chapter. Make sure to subscribe for more epic narrations, and hit the notification bell so you're always the first to hear the next tale. Until next time, keep cultivating, and we'll meet again in the next world.